Okay, folks, so welcome. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on what I love the best about a 1994 C4. These cars were the monumental American car being waited to be put on the assembly line and to go. These cars, you know what I mean? They even took a year longer to get them out than what they thought when they came out in 1984, because there was no 1983 C4 whatsoever. So they were really anticipated, and the reaction was different from a lot of people. A lot of people loved them. A lot of people, didn't care for them so much. I'd say, what's not to like? When you see a car like that, what's possibly not to like? It's the LT1s. They replace the L98s. With that extra almost 100 horsepower. You know what I mean? Which made quite a difference back in the 90s. You got to remember, this car now is 31 years old, so it's just a beautiful piece, and I love everything about it. There's a couple little things, of course, that it drives somebody crazy on every little car. But the case is that you have a very, very workable car. You can run this as a daily driver, if you like, or you can just run it as a normal kind of ride it on Sunday, ride it on Sunday kind of thing. But anyway, the first thing that I love about this car is I love the shape of this car. I love the shape of this car, front end to back end. All hands down. It's one of the sassiest looking Corvettes that I think has ever been designed. Replacing the C3. Which was a very, very cool looking car. And one thing they did with these cars is they kept the nice long hood. I think that changed a little bit somewhat with the C5s and C6s. And of course, the C6 is losing the pop-up headlights, which was kind of like, I'm not sure why they did that. The target top is absolutely beautiful. Coming with two target tops with the transparent black, and of course the body color. In this case, my other target top is white. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. We're just going to take a quick little boo around the car here. Sorry about all the noise. There's people working, people getting off work, things like that. Just take one final little walk around. It's got the 270 40/ R17 tires all around. Nice, beautiful square tires. Handles just absolutely awesome. You gotta love the thickness of the tires. That's one of the things I love on the Corvettes is the tires. They're just, you know what I mean. They handle so nice. And we're gonna take a look on the inside here. I thought I had the inside door open, so we'll take a look at this side here. It just boo for a moment. Like there's a lot of leg room in there. For a passenger, and the seats, even though these have been recovered, are so comfortable that it's, you can drive in this car for hours and hours and never ever feel like you're getting a sore back. You know what I mean? That's another thing I love about this car. It's so comfortable to ride. Now, you know what I mean? Something else that's really cool is look how far off the ground we are. You know what I mean? We're just, by the time you sit in that passenger seat, your behind is like 6 inches off the ground, so you sit really, really low. And I love the sill, and I love getting into the sill. The idea of just getting into it, it's like just getting into a jet plane, getting into a real beautiful sports car. So I love the profile. I love the sill and the low seating and how comfortable that is. Something else that they really did nice was the lighting inside the interior has really been done up nice. Of course, they have the lights that are on the doors, which if I actually close this, we're going to try opening it up again. Well, it's probably because of that side. Yeah, the courtesy light lights up. And it's beautiful, and it's nice and bright, and it's very easy to replace. You know, the bulbs are easy to replace, and they got bulbs down on the floor, and they got bulbs in the back, in the hatch as well, which are really nice. So that's a beautiful extra. So the interiors was done really nice. Another cool thing they did is to give you access to your frameless hatch, which is the only hatch that is made of full glass without any frame around it. And it's actually gorgeous, and the tint on it is done up really nice. And you can access that hatch through your little side panel here, through this button. It's got a nice little courtesy light under there. Or you can also access, you see now the courtesy lights are on when you open up the main driver's door. Yeah, and at night, when you're driving, there's two, or a small yellow light. I don't think you can see it in the sun. There's a small little yellow light that actually, you know, projects a little bit of light down there as well. But you can also open up your trunk with that back hatch, and it just pops up so nice, just like this. And another really cool feature, and a lot of Corvette owners don't even know that they have these, is the rear cover that, you know, just covers up all of your whatever you got, because there's tons and tons of space behind here. And you just lift them up, I can see it there, and it just tucks away into that little fold. And it has tons and tons of space, as you can see there. And these two little areas here are for locking your target top, if you want to just take your target top off, you know, and just go driving. And in the event the weather gets bad, you can just pull it off so that the target top stores inside. That's a really another really cool feature. And, you know, right off, you know, right down behind it, you've got, you know, where your gas cover is. And it's very cool. I can't believe it that there's actual mosquitoes here already. You have your gas cover that's just right there in the back, so choose your side. You know, it has a little drain valve there. I keep a little clean rag there because I don't like getting gas out of the paint when I grab the pump. And you have your beautiful four tail lights in the back. They kind of squared them off a little bit from their round editions in the earlier edition, but really nicely done that way. And yeah, like you could put, you know, golf clubs, suitcases, you know, all sorts of things like that out there. I cannot believe it that there's so many flies and stuff around already at this time of year. Okay, what else do we really like? Well, something we really like is we love. And we love, you know, pulling on it. There's a little switch or a little hatch right underneath down here. I don't know if you can see it. And we just give it a nice little pull. And the top opens. And just like that, she opens up. And she's beautiful. With these two lights, it really makes a difference at night as well, because these are really bright LEDs. Another cool thing about this car, even though that they're so old, there's still lots of different little upgrades and little toys that you can get for them, you know, to kind of make them your own. Like I've taken away the stock halogen bulbs and put in some LEDs, which are very skanky. 3 different modes, and they're just really nice. And another really nice thing about having the top is you get to, you know, like you could sit on your tire, you know, while you're cleaning your shocks, you know what I mean, or while you're doing something, or whatever the case is. It's all open here. It's just like a stock car, you know what I mean. And you know, if you maintain it well, look after it, it'll certainly look after you. That's what I always say. And the top is roughly, I think it's around close to 80 pounds. And the other really nice thing on the C4s is of course, they kept the pop-up headlights, and they look really, really skanky once they're turned on. We'll get a quick little glimpse of that before we shut things down. But yeah, just a beautiful looking car. You cannot argue the fact that this is, when you look at that car, that is a beautiful looking machine. I wish I had my drone here to get up and take a few upper pictures there, but I'll try to, see, get the best walk around that I can. There's all of the doors open. Just a beautiful sports car, and like I say, these cars, this was the long-awaited addition, because the C3 had been available, God, for, I don't know, a long time. I think it was it 12, 13 years, or maybe it was even more than that. And then the C4, when they came out in 84, it was just like, wow, really, really cool. I'm by this park, and that's why there's so many mosquitoes where I am, because it's freshly rained here before. So another nice thing, you can still get all the things that you need to replace, like the weather stripping on this particular vehicle. All the weather stripping has been replaced, so it makes it all really nice and tight. Targa top, halo stripping, sides, front window, everything. It's all been the weather stripping has all been replaced. Yeah, so that is just a beautiful car. You know what I mean? Hands down. How can you not? What's not to like about a car like that? You know, something else that's really neat about this car is that it's really easy to clean. And when I say that because the car sits so low that basically you can just pull up a small little chair, plump it down beside it, and grab your buffer or whatever you're doing, your wax, your polish, your cleaning, whatever you're doing, and you can basically do the whole sides of the car, the tail. The only time you have to stand up is when you do, a little bit on the hood and the targa top, but it's not like climbing on, like my wife's car. I got to climb on the sill to get to the top, and I can hardly reach, to be able to get to it. So that itself, you know what I mean? All these little things, they make a big difference when you're looking at, should I or should I not have a sports car? Now, you hear all these things, can I use this for a daily driver? You know what I mean? Is it expensive? It's like any other car. You know what I mean? It's going to cost, just like any other car. You have maintenance you have to do. Now you got to remember, when you buy this car is already 31 years old. So even though to me this feels like a brand new car because it's brand new to me, and I got to keep in mind that, boy, this is a 31-year-old car. So it's important to remember it for what it is. And like I say, if you look after it, it will look after you. And they're beautiful. The interiors are gorgeous. Away from the 80s vehicles, they went into the new dash. Of course, that's where everything kind of really changed. And what they did, inside of the car. But they call it the plastic fantastic, eh? But this car doesn't really rattle any much more than some of the other cars that I've had, and usually a lot of the rattles, they can actually be fixed or whatever the case is. So yeah, it's just beautiful, and with all the paneling and the gauges and things that you can find, different temperature, various codes for things that need to be repaired or minor issues, things like that. So it's very, very good in that regard as well, because you're able to sort of like analyze the car and see what the computer is thinking. And remember, this was a very, very in-depth vehicle, computer-run vehicle. So it's just like, it wasn't just like your everyday Impala kind of thing, right? It was a very, very, very much thought out process, before before they put the whole thing together. So it's just absolutely gorgeous. So that's what I love about my C4, which is pretty much everything. The odd thing that I don't really like about it is it's not a winter car. Not that I would ever drive it in the winter, but I'm just saying it's not a winter car. So we don't want to. It's not a winter car, so we don't. We can't drive in the winter. It's just a little bit lighter than 3,200 pounds. So it's a very, very light vehicle, But like the hood is easy to open and close. One man can do it. Pops down very easy. Locks down nice, and it's great. Target top comes off really easy. Some say it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. If you use the stock wrench that comes with it, it's like a little socket. That is a pain in the ass because it's hard to kind of get up there. Just use a hand tool, rather like a screwdriver. I forget the exact size of those Tortex heads that are in there, but anyway. So that's kind of like my quick little view on the C4s. If you have an opportunity to get one, it all depends on how much you want to put into a car like that, what kind of condition it's in. So if you're thinking about getting a C4, or an older, Corvette, and I say Corvette because that's what we're talking about. It could be whatever kind of older car, but you have to look at, what are you using it for? What is it going to cost? What is it going to cost to operate? What is it going to, what size motor does it have? Am I just driving this thing around for fun? Am I kind of having real fun with it? And using a little bit of that, 300 pounds or 360 pounds, I think, of foot torque is got foot-pounds. 300 horsepower. Do I want to play with that, or do I just want to ride it gentle? So, it wasn't designed to be a fuel-efficient baby, you know what I mean? Like put your kiddies in it and go for a nice cruise. It's not like that. It's a sports car, and it should remain one, and drive it like one, and look after it like one, and it'll look after you. So that's the best that I can sort of say for now. So I hope some of you enjoyed a little bit of this content. I love showing off my C4 because there's not another one around it, like in this neck of the woods anyway. So besides to that, cheers. Have a good day.